Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Module 1 of the Praxis section of the Foundations of the Craft course for Theophania. Today, we are going to be learning about two primary areas of practice that are foundational, and then we are going to take those and we are going to be building on our practice over time so that by the end of this course, you will have everything you need for a full practice. So the very first thing that we need to work on here is establishing methods of communicating with what I'm calling here our quiet selves. Now, what do I mean by that? We are a lot more than our talking self. The self that we are constantly aware of is the part that is able to speak, the part that is working and walking in the daily world. And in the Greek word for this is the ego. And I want to be clear here that the talking self is very, very important. The ego is that sense of I-ness, and it is absolutely essential. We cannot function without it, and having a good, strong, healthy ego is incredibly important. It just isn't all of who we are. So if you want to take a metaphor, if you think about an iceberg, the ego as the talking self is the part that is above the surface. It's the part that we're completely aware of, that we can see, and that we are used to identifying as ourselves. But the vast majority of who and what we are is under the surface. It is something that does not have voice and is not readily apparent. And no small part of any spiritual path is about consciously unfolding and developing the entire self, including all of those invisible parts, and being able to develop as a fully integrated, flowering being. So part of what this means is that we need to find ways to communicate consciously. Now, there's a lot of different ways to be thinking about the different aspects of self, and I'm going to go through those in more depth in one of the theory videos coming soon. And, you know, in the craft, a lot of times we talk about higher, middle, lower, and that can be, it comes out of, in a lot of ways, experiences that people like shamans have, in which they are experiencing using different imagery of going high, going into the underworld, and so forth. But the idea here is that we exist on many different levels of reality, and we have many, many invisible parts. So what we need to do as part of this work is begin becoming more consciously attentive to more of you on this journey of your personal unfolding. And that means creating mechanisms by which your talking self, your ego, can consciously communicate with those aspects that don't have voice. So one of the things that I want everyone to develop, if you have not already done so, is to have a very fast way of doing this. And the reason to do that is that if you're in a circumstance in which you are suddenly confronted with something and you need to check in with those parts of yourself that don't have voice about a decision, about something that's happening, if they're okay, or, you know, if you're okay, you want something that you can access for a very quick kind of yes, no answer. And the one that I tend to use a lot is I use a pendulum. Now, you can do a lot more with a pendulum than just checking in with your invisible non-talking selves, but it's a very useful way to do that. And so, and I would keep this simple. At this point, what we're trying to do here is keep it simple. Now, the deal with a pendulum is that, you know, you can go on and you can get beautiful ones with all sorts of gemstones and cool stuff, and that's not really what's important. My very favorite one is this cheap, ugly metal one that I got in some sort of a kit in the 80s, I think, but it is perfectly weighted. And so what you really want is something that is comfortable, that moves well, and is well weighted. And, you know, you can do this at a pinch with anything. You can grab a necklace or whatever. It just needs to have something that's a little bit heavier on the bottom of like a string. But I would say that that's the piece. Having something that is well weighted, that works well for you, is more important than how it looks. So what you want to do is you want to get something that's a pendulum, and you want to establish with your own subconscious or unconscious, or again, we're going for the non-speaking parts of yourself, what is yes and what is no. And the way to do that is you get it and you say, show me yes. And you see how it moves. And for some people, it's going to be back and forth. For me personally, it happens to move clockwise, but you just do that. And then you say, show me no. And for some people, a lot of times it's going, side to side, like you're shaking your head no. For me, it goes counterclockwise. But you just do that enough times that you have established a form of communication with the part of you that on an unconscious level is like doing the micro movements for your hand. And that way you can establish a way of asking yes or no questions to the parts of you that don't have voice. Another way to do this is something called muscle testing. And again, that's for like in a pinch, you just need to know something. You're in a situation and you can be like, is this dangerous for me? It's a really important one to be able to have a quick mode of communication. So the way in which that would work is I take my ring finger and my thumb and I put them together like this. And then I take my pointer finger and my thumb and I put them through those. And basically I ask a question. And I've established that yes, if I pull then with the pointer finger thumb, if the answer is yes, then it does not break through this link. But if the answer is no, then it does. It just like is able to pull through it. And so I could say, is this video going okay? Apparently it is. Is this video going perfectly? No, it's not. Perfection is the enemy of the good. So I'm going to keep on going. But, that's another mode. So you want to have at least some way of doing a very quick check-in in a pinch with yourself, possibly doing both. Like I said, I prefer pendulums. I always have one in my purse. I have numerous around the house, but I also will use the muscle testing if I'm in a situation where I don't have my purse and I need to check in really fast. So that's one thing that's important to do. Establish something like that so that you can be checking in with yourself as you're doing various kinds of growth and work. I also am going to strongly suggest, if you don't already do it, that you begin journaling. And that is a way in which if you begin journaling as a mode of talking to yourselves, talking to the various parts of yourself, asking questions and not judging and just allowing things to kind of come out, you will be amazed at what you uncover. It's also really useful for keeping track of what it is that you experience. So as we are going through various kinds of growth activities, or you're experimenting with different things, writing them down is really important. It's very, very useful. And I put down here to note the timelines for things that show up. Okay, now my reason for saying this is that part of what will happen as you are doing more work of this sort, working in other aspects of reality than the kind of physical and the normal day-to-day talking self, is that sometimes causation is working on various planes in different speeds. So for example, in my experience, I would have different experiences that I would have in altered states of consciousness in terms of working with various spirit beings and so forth. And thankfully I wrote them down because they didn't hit the physical reality often for like a couple months. And I might not have been able to make those causal links if I hadn't taken good notes. But a large part of what I also want you to be doing during this time, as we are talking about working with the parts of self that are not the talking self, that are not the conscious, visible self, is keeping track of things like, when you feel afraid, why? What's actually going on there? When you feel joy, what's actually going on there? What's happening? What's your actual real reaction to various kinds of experiences? And the other thing is that I find forcing myself to take notes, and this doesn't have to be formal. You don't have to have it in a special book of shadows or whatever. I mean, you could do it on your phone or whatever, although there is some good research that actually handwriting accesses different parts of ourselves than typing. So you might want to experiment with both. But part of what is going on here is that having a practice in which you stop and you're like, okay, how did this actually feel? How did this feel in my body? What was really going on in all these different parts? It kind of makes you have that forced pause to really bring to conscious awareness your full experience and then to write it down. The other thing that you can do over time is that you will start to see patterns and you'll start to see growth. And as I had said in the theoretical section, I encourage you to take everything as kind of a working hypothesis, which means being open, and that also means kind of paying attention. So there's lots of different methods for this. There are people who swear by doing kind of a morning thought. I often find that the mornings, I do my devotional practice and some other things every morning, but for me, in terms of getting up and going to work, I sometimes find that tough. I am more energetically focused at the beginning of the day, but I'm also rushing, and I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. So, you can do things in the morning, you can do them in the evening, you can set up for yourself certain kinds of questions that you ask yourself each day. One of the ones that I try to do at the end of the day is, what are the lessons I learned today, and how does this fit into my bigger understanding of my path? I understand myself as being an apprentice of Apollon, the god Apollo, Apollon. And so, when I'm going through my day, I'm like, what have I learned? Because part of the work of being an apprentice is to be learning how to do the work associated, in my case, with the god Apollon in this world. It is learning how to do that work. So he is a prophet, a teacher, a healer, blah, blah, blah. So I try to go through my day and think, like, what are the lessons that I can take from this day and learn about that? So there are a number of different ways to do that. And I would encourage you in the beginning to also just be asking yourselves, how did various things feel? What is my real immediate feeling on certain things? The other thing is, I'm going to encourage you, for the purposes of doing this course, to have a journal practice in which at the end of each exercise, you write down how it felt and what your reflections were and what you experienced, so that you can be tracking that through time. Like I said, if you ever go back and read it, that's almost secondary. The main thing here is that the practice of journaling allows you to begin the process of integration. And we had talked in the theory video, part of the big challenge is that growth has those two pieces. There's the expansive piece, and then there's the integration piece. And we have a propensity as human beings who love the novel and exciting to neglect the integration. So journaling can help you with that, as well as, like I said, beginning to have a place. If you are just writing and don't be judging yourself while you're writing, it can start to allow some of those parts that don't typically have voice to find expression. All right, so we're going to move on now to the next section. And this is the next section of practice. So I want you to begin a practice, like I said, of creating those mechanisms for communicating with the non-talking parts of yourself. And now we're going to talk about grounding and centering. So what is grounding? Basically, grounding is when we are consciously establishing an energetic link with where we are in our context and in an energetic exchange, most importantly with the earth. And we use the language of grounding, and in many ways, this is like grounding for an electrical wire. It's very important when you're going to be doing energetic, magical work. And it's a combination of both drawing energy up, so that you are drawing energy from your context, so it's not just your personal energy, and allowing energy to flow through you to the earth. So it's both ways. And part of what it's doing is establishing you in your ecology, sometimes also in celestial energy. But grounding is a process of consciously putting yourself in context, and an energetic context and exchange, so that you are now drawing energy from larger than you, than your personal energy field, which is really important so you don't drain yourself out and trying to do various kinds of magic. And then also in the exchange, where you are allowing energy to flow through you like a conduit. So why do you need to ground? if you have ungrounded energy flowing through your system to excess, it can overload your system. So for instance, if you are doing big magic, and you are pulling in all sorts of energy from whatever source, and you don't have something where like that electrical wire, it's going through you and being able to ground out of you, you can just kind of fry out your nervous system. And you can tell when people have not figured out how to appropriately ground, because they're the ones that come out of ritual and are super jittery and often are just like really hyper emotional and like, ah, and part of what's happening there is that they're like taking in all this energy from the group ritual, and they've not like appropriately grounded their wires so that it's like coming into their nervous system, something that's bigger than their normal energy patterns, and it doesn't have any place to flow through. So it makes them all jangly. But also for most magic, especially I'm going to say healing magic, you just don't want to pull on your own resources, because you don't want to be working with someone. You want to see that you are being a conduit for cosmic energy in order to heal something, and you don't want it coming into you. You want to just pass it through. So again, you just don't want to expend down all of your personal energetic resources. That's just not healthy. There are times, well, this is supposed to be a foundational course. There may be times to do that in an extreme emergency, but only if you really know what you're doing. For the most part, you want to be making yourselves a conduit. So what are some of the obstacles to grounding? Well, we're in a very anti-somatic culture. And by that, I mean anti-somatic, again, that's tend to go with Greek. We're anti-body. Our culture is really pretty anti-body. And it's weird because on the one hand, we have this obsession with bodies, and then we also have like this weird kind of conflict, attraction, aversion thing going on. But basically, we are trained to be floating heads. Our educational system is only concerned with mind. It doesn't really train us. I mean, we have PE, but it's like set aside and separate, and we're not trained to integrate all the different aspects of ourselves. So we are typically trained to be kind of floating heads, and that is going to get in the way of grounding. That's a piece of that socialization we need to break out of. Also, in our culture, a lot of the lower parts of the body, especially like the sexual regions, are associated with sin or with being undesirable, and what that actually means. And we'll go through some of the chakra theory later, but some of our lower chakras, which are that's a Sanskrit term, means wheels, but they're also the energy centers where energy passes in and out of the body. The lower ones that have to do with sexuality, that have to do with our life force, a lot of times those are really clogged up, and they're just not functioning well and need to be healed. And that gets in the way of grounding. And in a future Praxis segment, we're going to be going through some cleansing and strengthening of the chakra kind of lessons here and a practice there. We also have this idea of toxic individualism, which really gets in the way, because the point of grounding is that you as an individual should not be trying to do stuff separate from everything else. You are embedded in a context, and this is how you pull in the energy from your context as a participant. And the idea that you should just be completely self-sufficient is nuts. I mean, that's another part of that miasma of our culture. So that can get in the way of grounding too, because again, that really has to do with putting yourself in conscious context with the powers that surround you. But the other thing is that when we are stressed, we tend to go with what's habitual. When you are in a time of stress, you are not consciously thinking about the way in which you ought to be doing things. You're falling into your patterns, and that's everybody. That's everybody. And the way to counteract that is to build habit. It is to consciously build habit so that when something happens, it flows in a new direction. So an awful lot of really powerful spiritual practices are actually about building habit. The reason you meditate, as an example, is not so that you have 20 minutes of good feelings in the day. That's not the point of it. The point of meditation is to be focusing your consciousness and having that habitual practice of being able to focus your consciousness at will. It has to do with being able to be in conscious connection with the parts of yourself that are not part of the talking self. Meditation is another really important, and there's a lot of different schools, modes for that. But the idea there is to bring that more and more into the rest of your life, so that when you are in a moment that is stressful, you have now built this daily repetitive thing, this daily repetitive activity that allows your attention to flow in a particular way that is more how you want it to flow, rather than just doing whatever else has been your habit previously. Basically, if you think of it like, and this is really how karma works too, by the way, kind of getting into theory, I can't help myself. The energy tends to flow down the grooves that are there. And so if what you want to do is to have it flow down a different groove, you build that different groove by constructing a habit. This is also why I do an awful lot with repetitive affirmations with mala beads, because what I'm doing there is I'm strengthening particular thoughts that I want my mind, when I'm in that relaxed state, to just kind of go, to go down those rather than whatever is already habitual that I don't want. So all of this is to say, obstacle to grounding, part of the reason that we build a practice of doing grounding and centering is so that when we find ourselves under stress, our habitual pattern is to ground rather than do what you would be doing if you did not have that practice, which is usually to spin out and be ungrounded. Okay. So centering is calling into conscious awareness all those different parts of yourself and being really fully present. And that typically involves finding the still spot. So you're pulling yourself into a type of consciousness in which you can be really fully present. Again, we're going to do some grounding and centering exercises. I recommend meditation. I do recommend meditation as a practice. And there's a lot of different types, and depending on what you like, the most important thing is to find a form of meditation that you will actually do. Having a theoretical understanding of the fact that you should do it is not helpful. It's really about building a practice. And for myself, I will say, the most common form that people recommend is breathing mindfulness meditation. I hate it. And I have found over the years that I just will force myself to do it for a while and then I'll stop doing it. So I have actually found for myself, mantra meditation is what works for me. And there's reasons for that. A lot of people love breath meditation. I have obstructed breathing, so I hate it. I hate putting attention on the fact that I can't breathe well. It just creates more anxiety and makes me upset. So, what the point there is, find the form of meditation that works for you and that you will actually do, because the entire purpose of this is to build that groove so that when you are in a situation that you need to call yourself together, you're able to do so. So grounding and centering is a very important part of almost every pagan ritual, and it's usually at the beginning. And part of how it functions is that it allows people to come together as a group and put aside all of the stuff that's going on, usually you're going someplace, and the process of getting there, the process of the chit chat and all of that, and helps you make that energetic shift into pulling yourself together, pulling on the energy and being fully present and moving into ritual space. So it's usually done in the beginning. It is also that moment in which you can shift into your magical persona. So a lot of people, we mentioned magical persona in the theory section, but this is why sometimes people will do things like wear jewelry that they only wear during ritual as a part of helping them step into that, now I am here in ritual doing magic as a witch kind of thing. So we are going to have some experiential homework, and I'm going to walk you through a few things. In a minute in this video, I'm going to lead you through a number of different methods of doing grounding and centering. And so what I want you to do is to do one of them at a time. And for those of you who are actually taking this course, I will figure out, once it's all recorded, like what's the minute and seconds and the section, minute and seconds, so that you can get to each one without having to watch the whole thing over again, because that'd be a pain. So I'm going to walk you through a number of different methods for this. And I want you to do one at a time. And I want you to pay attention to how it feels in your body, your emotions, your mind, your energy. And then I want you to stop, and I want you to try to integrate that experience, and I want you to write it down. Like, write that down. How did that actually feel? What did it do for you? What did it not do for you? Did it like help you feel like you're energetically connected to everything? Did it help you feel like you have more of yourself present? Did it not? Because different things are going to work for different people. And then when we convene, we're going to share our experiences when we get together in person. We're going to share our impressions of each one of these and what worked and didn't work and how they felt different or similar to each other. And then after you're done with that, more homework. So one of the most common requests in any kind of group ritual that you might attend is, can someone lead us in a grounding and centering? And so after this module, what I want you to be able to do is to be the person who's prepared to say, well, yes, I will lead you in a grounding and centering exercise. I am confident that I can do this. Because it's a way in which you can be contributing to a group. Now, my experience has been that people, even really advanced personal practitioners, if they don't have a lot of group ritual experience, get anxious about leading pieces. And one of the big things here, and this is part of why I'm going to make you do this, is to have the experience of getting out of your own way. And the only way that you can do that, the only way to get out of your own way and build confidence to be able to be participating as a leader in rituals, is to do it. You just got to do it over and over again. And my experience, and I'm somebody who was solitary for decades before I actually began working with groups, and a large part of my growth in that has been to take all of the stuff that was interiorized, that's going on with me, and to be able to exteriorize it so that other people can come with me on that journey, or that I can go with them on that journey. So there's just a certain amount of practice that comes from this. So what I want you to do, after you've experienced a few of these and thinking about how it works for you, is continue to experience for yourself, and then write out a grounding and centering exercise that you could do for a group, and practice it. And then when we meet, each one of us is going to lead one in order to get more experience, and then get feedback from the group on how it went and what they thought. And we're just going to try to work on building each other's confidence in our experiences so that we all have got something like that in our toolkit. And then when we walk into whatever kind of group situation it is, we will all have the ability to step in and fulfill that role. Okay. Well, that was a random slide that's in there that shouldn't be. My apologies. That's what happens when you cut and paste. So now I'm going to lead you on some grounding and centering exercises. And I am going to close myself out here so that I am not distracting. All right, so first, I want you to close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath. Just close your eyes, get comfortable, take a deep breath. And you can be standing if you are able, or you can be sitting. Take another deep breath. And feel the presence of your body. Feel where it touches the ground of this sacred earth. Become deeply aware of the soles of your feet and how they have centers under your arches that are minor chakras, that are minor openings. Feel them opened and spinning. Now I want you to send roots down out of your feet like roots of a tree. Feel your roots questing down, down. Feel your roots flow down into the ground beneath you, through the topsoil. And with each in-breath, you pull energy up like you're drinking a thick milkshake through a straw. With each out-breath, send your roots down, flowing down even more. Breathe in and pull the energy up. Breathe out, send your roots down. Breathe in, pull the energy up. Breathe out, send your roots down. Breathing in and out, down until you feel your roots feel the water table. Flow down, down further and further down. Breathing in the power, sending the roots down deeply into the rock until you find the heat deep in the planet. And as you breathe in and out, touching the deep heat, pulling it into your body, become more aware of feeling that earth energy flowing up into your form. Be aware of your legs. Pull the energy into your legs, drawing up. Be aware of your lower torso, of your lower chakras, pulling the energy up. Breathe in and feel the power flowing into your upper body, the solar plexus, the heart chakra. Breathe in and pull the energy up, feeling the power flowing down into your arms, feeling the minor chakras in the palms of your hand. Breathe in and feel the energy flowing up into your throat, into your head, into the third eye, into your crown. And on your next breath, feel your attention flowing up and out of your crown like branches and leaves, sending the energy out of the top of your head into the sky, reaching up, reaching for the stars. Reach up and up and up, reaching up into the sky until you feel the cool celestial energy, the starlight, flowing down. Feel the starlight flowing down, down, down through your crown, and pull it down, let it wash through your head, your neck. Feel that cool starlight flowing down your arms and hands, down through your upper body, your lower torso. Feel it flowing down your legs, into your feet. Now feel the warmth of the earth energy mixing with the coolness of the celestial energy. Feel it flowing through your body and realize that somewhere in your being is a ball of light that is your center at this moment. Pay attention to where it is. Breathe in and out once more, knowing that you are fully here with all of your being, full of power. Open your eyes and stand in your power. And now I want you to get your journal and record your experiences. Our next form of grounding is connecting us to our biosphere. We are all cells in our biosphere, in our local bioregion. So now, sitting or standing as is comfortable, close your eyes and take a deep breath. Take another deep breath. And now feel your body. Feel your skin. Become aware of your skin. And now feel your personal energy field. Feel the part of you that is close to your body and that extends out from you. Feel your mind flowing out into your environment. And feel the connection to the plants in your area. Reach out with your energy and feel yourself touching the community of trees, of grasses, of all the growing plants. Take a few cycles of breath, letting your mind and energy flow into the plant kingdom in your area. Breathe in and out, in and out, in and out. And now become aware of the mycelial network, the fungus intelligence that links everything under the soil. Feel your consciousness flowing through the network, flowing into the soil. Be aware of the soil. Be aware of its connection to you. Be aware of the insects. Now send your intelligence, your energy, your consciousness out to the animals in your region. Feel the birds. Feel the mammals. Feel the flying insects. Feel your connection to them in the web. Now become aware of any of the invisible spirits that make themselves known to you in your bioregion. The nature spirits, the ancestors, spirit beings who do not have a body but who live in this section of the greater earth. And now I want you to send your attention tracing the water in your region. Let your mind be drawn to the water like a dowsing rod. Feel the source of the flowing water, its connection to the water table. And send your energy to the consciousness of that water. The spirit of the watershed sets the boundaries of your bioregion. Feel your consciousness and energy flowing into conscious contact. And now feel the winds in your area. Be aware of the air that is moving through your region, dancing and singing. Be aware of the sunlight shining on the greater self that is your bioregion. Feel the way it provides food for the plants and warms the animals. Now feel the moonlight, the way in which the moon changes the inner tides in your area. And as you are moving your consciousness back towards your personal center, keep conscious of the web of connection. As an awake, alive member of this web of community, Know that you can access the energy of the divine whole and that you can give back in service to all the members of this section of the greater earth. Now pulling your consciousness back into your body, being aware of your full being in your full power with consciousness. Breathe in and out once more, knowing that you are fully here with all of your being, full of power. Open your eyes and stand in your power. And now take a moment to record your experiences in your journal. Now we will begin the next form of grounding. Be seated or standing as is comfortable. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Take another deep breath. The microcosm is reflected in the macrocosm. The macrocosm is reflected in the microcosm. Pay attention to your being. Pay attention to the boundaries of your being. Pay attention to the fact that you are a whole being. Hold that in your mind and think, I am. We are going to extend our consciousness and our sense of I am as we move down into smaller and smaller parts, knowing that we are our whole selves and we are all of our parts. Become aware of your organs sweeping your body. Let your mind touch on your organs and think, I am. Become aware of your skin, your hair, your nails. I am. Become aware of your muscles. I am. Become aware of the fascia that encases your muscles and organs. I am. Become aware of your circulatory system. I am. Become aware of the nerves that are branching through your body out from your spine. I am. See the cellular structures that make up an individual cell. Become aware of your skeleton and your joints. I am. Now in your mind's eye, see some of the blood and see the cells. I am. Go into the cells like looking at a microscope. I am. See the cellular structures that make up the individual cells. I am. See down the strands of DNA. Look at the double helix structure, the code that makes up all life. I am. See that they are made of proteins. Zero in and look. I am. See the proteins that are made of atoms. I am. See the atoms that have structures and go smaller, seeing the particles. I am. See the immense space between the electrons zooming around the nucleus. I am. Go inside one of the particles and see the space. See the energy. I am. Realize that in you, infinite space is present. I am. And now begin flowing back up, connected to everything, up through the atoms, the DNA, the cellular structure, the cells, the bone, the arm, the body, all the way up, pulling yourself up into your full being. And know the great Hermetic law, as above, so below. And now pull your sense of wholeness and know that you are the vastness of creation here and now. Be fully present, open your eyes, and stand in your full power. And now take a moment and take some notes. And now we will do an exercise in which we extend our identity outward into the macrocosm. So again, find a comfortable place, standing or sitting. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Take another deep breath. The microcosm is reflected in the macrocosm. The macrocosm is reflected in the microcosm. Pay attention to your being. Pay attention to the boundaries of your body. Hold in your mind, I am this. We're going to extend our consciousness and our sense of I am as cells in the greater whole, that is a cell in a greater whole as we move up. Feel the energy that extends from your body. I am this. Let your mind flow out, touching the group mind of the neighborhood in which you live, and all of the beings who are a part, including the plants, the animals, the earth, the spirits of this place. And know, I am this. Let your mind flow out until you find your natural watershed. And let your mind flow into the great being that is the part of the earth, that is the watershed. And know, I am this. Feel your being expand, linking with the rivers and the earth, and expand until you are your whole region. I am this. Feel yourself flowing out until you can feel the land and touch the oceans on all sides, and know, I am this. Feel yourself flowing into the oceans and feel the powers of the circulating streams of air and the intelligence of the planet. Know, I am this. Breathe deeply, feeling the intelligence of the planet, her love, her pain, her soul. I am this. Breathing out, feel the astral form of her planet. Feel the energy body, the planet's aura. I am this. Feel the Great Mother, the Earth, as a part of the solar logos. Feel the solar system as a living being whose heart and head lies in the great being who is the sun. I am this. Feel the intelligence of the solar system. I am this. Feel the love, the pain, the soul of the great solar system. I am this. Know that the great solar logos in whom we live and move and have our being is a part of the great galactic being that is the Milky Way, who is swirling and dancing through space. I am this. Realize that there are countless dancing galaxies and glimpse the infinity of space. I am this. And now begin flowing back, connected to everything, back through the arm of the galaxy to the great being that is our solar system, back to our mother, the earth, to the continent, to your region, to the intelligence that is your watershed, to the place that is your neighborhood, to the boundaries of your personal energy field, back to this place maintaining your connection to all that is, and know the great hermetic law, as above, so below. And now pull your sense of wholeness, where you are one with the vastness of creation. Be here and now, be fully present. Open your eyes and stand in your full power. And now take some notes in your journal. Be comfortable sitting or standing. We are going to be doing some fourfold breathing and thinking about the various forms of cycles and cyclicity in all of life. So now, close your eyes and take a couple deep breaths just normally, breathing in and out. And now we are going to begin some fourfold breathing, in which we breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, continue. These cycles are related to the cycles of time, the waxing, the moon. This next cycle, think of the moon waxing, 2, 3, 4, full, 2, 3, 4, waning, 2, 3, 4, new, 2, 3, 4, waxing, 2, 3, 4, full, 2, 3, 4, waning, 2, 3, 4, new, 2, 3, 4. Continue and think of the year, the spring, the summer, the fall, winter, day, the life, birth, to death. One more cycle. And then begin breathing normally. And finish. And now open your eyes and be here, be now. Take some notes. This method is a transinduction method that also works well as a form of grounding and centering. And this is credited to Lori Cabot. She was one of my early teachers. So get comfortable, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let it go. And now on the screen of your mind, I want you to see the color red. See the color red. And see a red 7. See the color orange. See an orange 6. See the color yellow. See a yellow 5. See the color green. See a green 4. See the color blue. See a blue 3. See the color indigo. See an indigo 2. See the color violet. See a violet 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are now in an alpha brainwave state. Everything you see and do will be correct and for the good of all. Open your eyes and be fully present. Take some notes. This one is a form of toning, and I'm going to recommend, if you can, to stand for it if you are able, so that you can get better breath. There's a lot of theory behind this. You can read more about it. One of the sources would be Keys to Perception by Ivo Dominguez Jr. But at the moment, what I really want you to do is to just experience it and feel how it feels in your body. So we are going to be doing toning, E-A-O. 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 Take a few minutes and take some notes. And that is the end of these grounding and centering exercises. And I look forward to when we can share in person.